Hello and welcome to another episode of SoFly. It is April 13th. This show's coming out on the 15th, which is awesome. I've got to love a good timely, hot off the presses record. My name is Mitch. We've got Aldo.
Hey, everybody.
And Yilma's not with us today because he's actually in Greece right now. Having some fun, eating octopus and traveling around Greece. But we are joined by two very wonderful people. We do have two fellows that joined us actually on the trip we're going to be talking about today to Long Island, Bahamas. We've got Dan, otherwise known as @FlyInspired on Instagram. Dan's a wonderful filmmaker and one heck of an angler. You can watch all his content on YouTube under the name Dan the Fisher. Check him out because he's got like just tons of amazing stuff to watch, including actually part one of a trip video from the trip we're going to be discussing today, which is banging. We've also got Roman, otherwise known on Instagram as fishfanatic_fishes.ca. Roman grew up fly fishing in South Africa, but has since ventured all around the world fishing. He now calls Hamilton home and spends a ton of his time chasing king salmon on his 26-foot Trojan Express. That sounds sick. We got to talk about that. Beyond fishing in southern Ontario, though, he does enjoy fishing the salts and embarks on journeys to fish salt flats for bonefish quite often, which is the fish of topic today. Dan, Roman, welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Hell yeah. Thanks so much for coming on. It's good to see you guys.
Yeah, it's nice to see y'all.
Yeah.
It's been a week.
Yeah, we had such a great time in the Bahamas.
Having withdrawals already.
Oh, I know, eh? Like, man, like what a crazy, beautiful place that is. You know, to go from there to actually when we were flying in. I mean, we're gonna talk about all this stuff, but like when we were flying back and we were like coming over Ontario, it was like the craziest starkness difference between the Bahamas color palette from the sky. Yeah. I don't know if you guys noticed, but it was like tropical blues leaving Bahamas, then it's just like brown. You know?
All brown.
Yeah.
At least we didn't see all white, because then it would have been like, we're too far north. We got to go back.
Turn around.
Yeah, it's a good point, Mitch. Like, I mean, I remember when Dan put when we were sitting beside each other on the plane back to Toronto, and Dan, put the window down, and then the next time it came up, it went from blue to brown, and I was like, wow, that's depressing.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
I mean, I love coming home. I'm just saying that, this time of year, there's no snow, and there's no grass, so there's no color right now,
It's just such a difference, Like, wow, what a place. But, why don't we just, I think today, so what we're going to do is talk about, obviously, we took a trip quite recently, last week, down to Long Island, Bahamas, to fly fish with Fly Fishing International. We also had Gil and Mark Parr on the trip, of course. Those two are still down in the Bahamas right now, fishing and having fun. So they're not on the show today because they're just still fishing the flats. But it was an amazing trip. It was successful. There was lots of fish caught, lots of fun had. So I think today what we're gonna do is just go through the trip, kind of talk about the the adventure, and then we'll do some Mitchie's Fishies 5. So, yeah. I mean, how do we want to start this, Dan? Like, we traveled down together, me, you, and Aldo. Roman, you were down there. When did you get there? You were there a few days before.
I actually was in Andros, and I got down to Andros kind of mid-March. And when I was down there, I got word from Dan that, hey, he's going to be heading down to Long Island. And I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. He said, they got space for one more, right? And I was like, yeah, of course. I think I'm going to go and to join you guys over there. I'd love to fish with you guys. And so we actually made our way across to Long Island, I think about a week before you guys arrived.
Okay.
And I was kind of tasked with scoping out all the big fishing spots before we.
Oh, thank God you did.
Which I enjoyed.
Oh yeah, got some good spots.
Roman, I mean, Dan shoots for Fly Fishing International. Obviously, Fly Fishing International is a sponsor of ours. But how did you meet everybody?
Well, it's mostly through Dan, right? And I have Dan to thank for that. I know Dan, on the local scene here on Lake Ontario, right, where we hunt salmon all summer long, and of course I've just been an avid fan of Dan and his content that he puts out there. It's just he's so talented. Just through him, and then he, I think but a couple of times before he's mentioned, he does work with this, with Gil and what he's doing at the fly fishing side. And fly fishing's always been kind of my it's very close to my heart as far as the sport's concerned. I grew up doing that, right? That's how I, started fishing when I was fishing in South Africa. And so, and I go to the flats every year, minus the COVID years, right? So, so when Dan said, hey, there's an opportunity to join you guys over there in Long Island, and I was like, yeah, of course I'd love to. And kind of made my way over there. And Dan and Gil was awesome enough to to host me, and look, and it said, come over, there's lots of space. So yeah, it was awesome. I loved it. I loved every second of it. It was, I can't stop thinking about it. I dream about it still. It's awesome. I just see those blue colors when I close my eyes. It's amazing. Yeah, it's a special place. I love the city.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, that's quite the sweet trip, though. Like coming from Andros to Long Island. I mean, just kind of hopping around the islands, fishing bonefish. That's an awesome way to start. A trip in Long Island. Fishing in Andros.
Yeah, I couldn't have asked for a better outcome, right? For that trip. And I'm fortunate enough where I was able to extend my my holiday, because I can work remotely with the type of work that I do. So it was a no-brainer for me. It was I'll see you in Long Island, guys.
I love it. Yeah. I love it. Okay, well, Aldo and I, we met up at the airport, and then we met Dan once we got through security and stuff. I mean, I think part of the cool thing about this trip was Aldo, I didn't know any of you guys. We were kind of just going into a blind. I'm sure they're great, but what was cool was everybody was. That's kind of the cool thing about this too, right? You do these things, you take a chance. You're like, let's just see what happens, and it's you meet super cool people, and it's that was really neat working that out, because we got to the airport, met Dan, and was like, oh, this is gonna be great. We're chatting about fishing, blah blah blah. Just stoked and all good times. Hopped on the plane and
we got there so early, Mitch.
To the airport, yeah.
We were like,
I'm always.
We were so excited, just drinking mimosas.
Eating bacon.
Bacon, and then our flight was packed, man, on the way there.
Yeah.
Remember how hectic it was? It was just
pretty hectic.
Yeah, she was like, you can't carry that on. I'm like, the other person said I could carry it on. This 400 kids on the flight. I'm like,
just screaming and freaking out. Yeah, it was pretty hectic. Yeah. But I mean, when we got to Nassau, that was a great feeling, because we landed in Nassau, and then the next day we were catching a flight to Long Island, which was on a tiny little plane, but that was awesome. We went to that bed and breakfast, and that Wicked Compass Point restaurant was right down the street. Mm-hmm. That place was awesome. We just sat there for 8 hours drinking beer.
It was one of the best.
Yeah,
it was so good.
It's a cool way to start. The Andros was kind of the same thing in the sense that there's that first night layover, because all those little island hoppers leave in the morning. I think it seems to be that way anyway. In my 2 times I've been to the Bahamas. And yeah, it was cool. Me, Dan, Mitch were all just getting to know each other, and at this awesome beachfront restaurant. And I was like, okay, well, welcome to the Bahamas.
It's about as good of a place to meet and introduce yourself to people as literally sitting on a beachfront bar, and watching the sunset, and just shooting the breeze with some guys.
Man.
It was pretty cool.
Drinking. It was an awesome start to it, man.
Mitch, I know you weren't really, haven't flown through COVID, really. I got to go to the Bahamas and Texas. But Dan, have you been doing a lot of traveling for work, or was this a first flight for you?
This
first international flight in a while.
This was the first second international. So I had actually done my first in 2 years internationally. I think in early December, late November. To Belize, and that was it was a little bit of shell shock. There was some nerves going on that, because it was totally different flying environment. Last time I flew, it was people were panicking, and I'm sitting in an airport on Roatan in Honduras, oh, you want to offer me a flight in 3 days? Perfect, you're gonna cover all my expenses? Great. Having no clue that there's the world's coming to an end. And it was two full spectrum ranges of flight experiences. But I'm just glad that we're all back to being able to do some somewhat normal traveling again, because it's been a long time coming for ourselves and a lot of other people that have been fired up to do fly fishing and traveling all over the world.
Oh yeah, no doubt. No, it was great that we were actually able to just get out and do it. Like considering things. But yeah, getting outside of the country for the first time in a few years was a pretty wild thing. Like sitting in a tropical destination. Like,
Yeah.
it's cool. It's cool. It's trippy.
It was super cool. Yeah, so we did that, and then we, crashed pretty early, actually. I think it's the earliest I've ever gone to bed in my adult life.
Well, we did. We crashed early, and then we woke up like a half an hour later and put on like country music. We had like a second wind. And then I remember standing outside actually like at night with the stars, and I think Dan, you said to me, you're like, "Man, it's so cool." Like you're like, "Oh, I love these moments like when it's quiet." And it's just like I could take a second to be like, "Wow, like how lucky am I, to get to do stuff like this?" I'm like, "Oh, good point, man." Right at the start of the trip, it's like, "Yeah, you're right. Like this is sick." What a cool way to kind of put everything in perspective and kick things off.
It can be very easy to forget where you're at and the opportunities you get to do in this environment, especially because you're very fortunate and things are, you get to live that, silver platter life for a very short period of time while you're on these location shoots. And it's definitely good to humble yourself every once in a while and just like kind of like step back, be like, yep, okay, this is, we are very lucky and this doesn't, this isn't just like a handout for just anyone, right? So we got to make sure that we, do good work and and enjoy it to the fullest.
It's such a cool like thing to get ourselves into these positions. Where we're like you and I are standing outside like in the middle of nowhere in the Bahamas. Just like, okay, let's do this thing. What a cool way to start off a week. Yeah,
yeah.
But then we crashed and Aldo and I snuggled up in bed there and had a good sleep, and then
thank you guys.
Yeah, man. No, of course. And then and then we crashed and woke up and caught the little plane, little tiny. There was like 10 people on that thing. Tiny little island hopper,
little zipper, yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
Man.
We
had the swimming pigs on the fin of the plane, like the tail.
Yep.
Yeah, and oddly enough, when we were at the airport, Prince's son was at the airport. How weird is that? Like the one guy I know in the Bahamas, which is our guide from Andros, his son's there,
sitting across from you.
Weird. Yeah. What are the odds?
Yeah, that was hilarious, man.
And then all of a sudden, it was an hour flight, right? About an hour flight, 45 minutes.
Yep.
And we landed in Long Island. At the wrong
airport. Very key point.
Yeah, they fly us an hour north, and then we're like, we're at the wrong airport. Blah blah blah. It all worked out. We grabbed the cab, and we were able to actually see the whole island right off the bat because it's like an hour from top to tail, right? So hopped in a cab, and checked out the sights. But I think when you guys were like, okay, meet us at Max's Conch Bar, which was like, oh, sick. Like, what's going on here, right? Like, we pull up and we see everybody there and, having some beers and like eating like conch salad and like good times and everything and kicking off. And that was an awesome start. It's like, oh, this is going to be sick. Everybody was so cool. We met everybody and everybody was just like in such a good mood to get going, That place was awesome. Max's Conch Bar.
Max's Conch Bar was awesome. It was a great first little intro.
Yeah.
Roman, do you know much about Long Island? Like, do you know the skinny on how long? I mean, as the name suggests, it's long, but it's not a big island. It's about an hour flight from Nassau.
Yeah.
Do you know anything more? You're the Bahamas guy,
Fun facts with Roman.
Well,
let's go.
Let's go.
Well, the little that I do know is mostly like about the salt pans, right? And there was a big salt company, I think Diamond Salts or that Salt Diamonds or something like that used to mine salt there, but back in the day, I think in the 70s. And I'm not sure what happened, but something happened in the 80s, and that company, went under. It was an American company, and what was left behind was this remnants of all this, like, carved out landscape of salt pans that are kind of, and it's almost so you could see them quite clearly if you look at a map of Long Island, especially on the west side. They're symmetrical and rectangular in size, and so there's that's pretty interesting, and that's just kind of like nature's starting to take has just taken over again, right? And a lot of the bridges that supported those trails everything have collapsed or have eroded away over time. But the wildlife that just inhabits those areas now is pretty cool.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
What's going on down there?
So that was probably like the main. That was like a pretty big industry then on the island at one point, eh? Like those big salt flats.
Yeah. It used to employ a lot of the the local
Yeah.
Bahamians there and Bahamians, whatever you want to pronounce it. Yeah, and and there's like even some of the ruins, like at that one flat we went out on the west side with the boat. There's a old rail car that's just left on the side there, and it's now forming some structure or some coral and homes for some of the wildlife in the water. So so and other than that, there is it is a pretty long island for the Bahamas, and it has a main road that goes from the
One
north
road.
to the south, pretty much, and
That's
Got the
one
road. Yeah.
That's the road.
all roads lead to a salt flat and that place kind of thing. But the one road that exists there, and most of the infrastructure is built along the main road, and quite interesting compared to other islands that I've been to the Bahamas. The Long Island has kind of a hill or ridge, right? It has some elevation, which you don't see a lot of in the other islands, and on the east side. And I'm not too sure what the cause of that is. Maybe it's some tectonic plate movement, I suspect, which has caused that ridge. And so on the east side of the island, you don't have much of a reef. It's kind of open to the Atlantic, and it's a lot of deep drop offs, and it doesn't take very long to get very deep on the east side. Whereas the west side is kind of more connected to that big reef of the Bahamas, and it's more shallower, right? So it's kind of where most of the flats are as well. That's pretty much what I do know about Long Island.
The mountainy part, like you're talking about, is a good point, because like shout out to Rami and like his wife and his little son too. Those guys were down there as well visiting, and they were staying at like a cottage that was like on a hill, proper
on the
hill,
top.
like.
They must have been at the highest point.
Yeah,
they must have been
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Their view was crazy. Like it was so cool. Yeah,
the view's amazing.
I mean, and like what else is we can it's a sparsely populated island. It's very chill. Very chill.
It's like cottage country, right? Like
feels
that's
like cottage country. Yeah. There aren't resorts really. There's we're close to where we were. There's the marina. And then on the north end, there was that bougie resort that we had lunch at one day after, which I would love to stay at. It's endorsed by Tony Hawk.
Oh yeah, we saw Tony.
More on that later. I mean, like it's a really chill island. Like it was really cool. Like it was really easy to get around for a DIY trip. Like I mean, I don't know, there's one road, you can't really get lost.
Yeah, very calm, very chill. Like first impressions were definitely like, well, Gil had been down there for a couple weeks, and he was like, I saw him first, and he's like, man, like time stands still. You know how people say that? It's like I've never experienced a place like that. It truly was like that. It was just like very calm. I felt like immediately like relaxed because it's just it's quiet and there's not, like you say, not a lot going on. Just enjoy nature, basically, is like the itinerary. So it's an interesting place for sure.
So we get there, we eat some conch salad, and then meet Roman and Mark and see Gil, and then we're off to the house. The house is awesome. It's right on the beach, more or less, overlooking the beach, which is really really cool. We're close to Dean's Blue Hole, which is the second deepest.
Yep.
Blue hole on Earth.
Yeah, what is it?
662 feet, or Roman? What was the meterage on it? I can't remember that.
200.
That's crazy.
It's deep.
That's so deep.
It is
straight down.
Straight.
It's cool. There's a free diving platform on it. It seems to be a little bit of an attraction for people to come in. So we were like within walking distance of it. And, actually Dan, Roman, and I on the last day went snorkeling there, and that was super cool watching the fish.
So cool.
Checked it out.
Yeah, I was checking it out. So really cool place to stay. And we get there, and Roman and Mark fire up the grill, and all of a sudden we're grilling up snapper that you guys caught off the beach the night before. What a
Fresh
welcome.
snapper. Oh yeah.
Can you guys see my video?
Yeah, we can see it. Yeah,
yeah that's
so yeah. If you're listening to this, go to YouTube and watch this on YouTube, because Roman's sharing some shots throughout, and you'll see the view from our like cottagey house was unreal. Like we were on a beach, and it was just little sandy traily road, big front lawn, driveway. Like the house was awesome. It was like a bunch of bedrooms, bathrooms, like big kitchen, like beautiful, big outdoor cooking fire pit thing, which is where they cook the snapper. But yeah, the view is just ridiculous. Like look at that. Yeah, I remember sitting there actually on the porch drinking coffee, looking at that, just like, damn, like this is sick, man.
I think he said it like when we got there in Nassau. Mitch, like, why do we live in Ontario? Or at least in January.
Why do we live where there's snow? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, I see why snowbird.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yes.
Exactly.
100%. And so
that was
really
we
cool.
ate that delicious snapper up, and just like it was just like all smiles and like, oh, okay, here we go, like get ready to go fishing, because then we got geared up and we actually went and hit the water for a few hours, right? And that was the Salt Flat, the first
pan. Yeah.
place, the salt pan.
The pan.
So this is like one of those things that you were talking about, Roman, when those salt pans that are now just like nature's kind of taking them back, and they're full of fish, bonefish.
Yeah, right. It's an interesting place, right? Because it supports. It seems to be almost a perfect nursery for a lot of the juvenile bones, right? They have access to easy food, and there doesn't seem to be a lot of predators in the water. I saw a lot of osprey.
Yes.
Wow, there was osprey everywhere we went on Long Island, which is typically a sign of of a very healthy ecology, wild and fish population. So the salt pans is kind of they've got a few channels which lead into them, and that kind of replenishes the water in the systems, and they seem to be on their own tide schedule as well. As they drain and fill into each other. I think so. It's really difficult working out challenging, I should say, working out the tides.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. A lot of them are kind of soft, and you got to kind of figure out the trails and which ones are wadable or not. And but yeah, it turned out to be a really special place where it seemed like in the early evening hours or last light hours,
kind of turned on.
They would kind of turn on and show themselves, in like ankle high water. You'd have tailing fish, and schools that are smaller schools that are spread out on these salt.
Yeah, exactly.
And
I mean, we
just to have a go at tailing fish is a bone fisherman.
Yeah, 100%.
It's the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, we we roll up to the park the cars, and there's a beach break with is it safe to say a river, like a channel that feeds the salt pans? But we roll up on the beach. The beach is gorgeous. The little channel is like an unbelievable color of blue, and then you follow the channel over little walking bridges and stuff, and walking to the pan was like this transportation in another world. Mitch is like, what the like? I think you turned to me, Mitch. You're like, can you believe that we're in the Bahamas right now? And I was like, I can't, because the colors are all so different, and
it's crazy.
And I think we were there for like 15, 20 minutes, Mitch, before we started seeing tails.
Before we started seeing fish, yeah. And like Dan, like what was your first impression of this thing? Because you threw the drone up, right, just to like get some footage of like the topography of the land and stuff like that. But like, what were your first impressions of just the place we were?
I was pretty impressed. I mean, like I obviously have done a couple of other shoots with Fly Fishing International and done a couple different bonefish locations, including Andros. But it was just like this really unique space where it was like usually you see these flats that are super long and like I don't know. There's something super defined about the flats, especially when you sent the drone up. You're just like, this is like this. I don't even know how to. It's just like a box. It's like a sand pit that's just got bonefish that at any point in time they could just roll up. Like the school could just be there. And the first day I sent up the drone, I found a school of bones. I think there was like 3 or 4 on the pan over that Roman had actually scouted out in days prior, but had found out that it was really soft bottom, so we weren't able to access it. Yeah. But then as I booted over back to the pan that we were on, I think I found a couple more, but they were moving really aggressively, like a little bit quicker. But it was just crazy because, like, I mean, the whole experience of seeing it happen, like, you know, Roman and Gil were like really talking it up. They're like, man, it happens. Things happen at these pans. And like, we were like, we're not seeing it. We'd seen a couple of tails, and then like, what did it crack like 6, 7 o'clock? The sun started to get like, you know, like that. You look at your hand and the sun's like at the top. Yeah. And all of a sudden it's just like Mark. I'm like, I walk one way and Mark holds his ground, and then all of a sudden the school just works up to Mark, and he's like, he's on. First bonefish for Mark. He's stoked. We're all stoked. And then it was just like, everyone's on. Like everyone's moving a fish or working a tailing fish. There's a V-wake there. There's a school there. And you're just like, where did these fish come from?
Oh yeah, man! Like, there's Mark's first fish. Like, look how stoked Mark is there. Right? His first bonefish ever.
Should be noted, he landed that fish with no handle on his reel.
No reel handle.
The reel handle broke.
Believe it or not, like, I don't know if you guys heard, but Sage ended up responding to that post I put up, and I don't know what they've done since then, but I think they might help Mark out with a new handle. So,
oh, that's awesome!
That's hilarious.
Well, that's
Shout out
good.
to Sage.
That's awesome. Shout out to Sage. But yeah, all of a sudden, there's 6 of us on one flat. Like that's a lot it's a lot of people for a flat, you know. But those pans, it doesn't seem to matter. You know, we're on a good school of them, and everyone was landing fish. Mitch, you landed your first bonefish. I landed a fish. Dan landed a fish. Roman got a fish.
Roman guided me into my first bonefish. It was just a little guy, but there was like a pod of fish, and Roman was like, yeah, do this, do that, and boom, got him. It was awesome. It was such a cool moment.
Mm-hmm.
We should just call Roman was legit. He was coach. He was Coach Roman.
Yeah,
for this.
He was our Jedi master.
He was definitely the Jedi master,
Roman.
100%.
Yeah, the Jedi of the salt pan.
I love it.
It was good, man.
Yeah, it was a really it was a really cool like first trip out.
It's really special. It's really special to see someone catch their first bonefish, right? And just to go through that experience. And I've done it with some other people too, some other friends, and I introduced my brother to bone fishing in the salt flats too. So, and he's been hooked ever since. He loves going down there.
How can you not?
So yeah, and, and I mean, in Mark's case, I was pretty shocked actually. I was impressed with him, with his abilities to land that fish without a hand on the reel. And that's actually my fault, because I think it was a day or 2 days before you guys came, but Mark was already there, and I think it was his first full day there. I took him out on the boat, and we all had our rods down in the boat. You know where our rods were, but the handles were facing towards, the driver's seat. And I was on the back, and then I stepped down funny, or lost, my balance a little bit. And that's when his handle broke. I actually broke his handle.
Oh, no way.
For stepping on
Roman.
Yeah. So, I know. On his first day, before he even started fishing, right?
Does Mark know this, or is this like, is this the admission now? Or is this coming out now? Mark's listening like, what the hell?
He knows, and I've offered to replace it and everything. So, yeah.
I think it was cool that he landed it with the thing, man. You just made for like a cool story. And like Mark was so stoked about it, and like, it was a great fish that he got with no handle. I mean,
it was a beautiful fish. And Roman, you took a stellar photo with the sun lighting up. I mean, that photo you showed a little bit earlier. Again, if you're watching this on
Awesome.
YouTube, you can see that. But you like the fins just light up in the sun, and it's just amazing.
You know what? It was just the light, right? You could not take a bad photo there.
The sun was so beautiful. I know, like the sun behind my head was just like, whoa. Like
Megan, it's a great picture of Mitch.
Holy Mitch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That was awesome.
Yeah, you seeing it? Yeah,
we will be once we actually have this going. But yeah, there's a bit of lag. But yeah, no, I mean that.
No, you're fine.
No, it's all good.
Just talk like there isn't lag because we'll see it in real time.
Oh yeah,
but yeah,
that was a great first day.
That was a great.
I
remember going back to the house and sorry, Mitch. You're like, we all got fish, and I just sitting there. I was like, wow, what a day. I did have a question though for you, Mitch, like because you remember we were first on that little. There's that little jut of like land or sand, like a little sandy bar with the little mangroves on it.
Yep.
And at the tip of that you're standing on, there's like a bone tailing in front of you.
Yes.
That was like,
man.
Again, that's what, when I think of that first 15, 20 minutes, I was just like, oh wow, there's already a tailing fish right in front of this guy's face. What was going through your head at that moment? Like, what is that feeling?
Well, it's kind of like, oh,
there we go. There's a picture of Mitch.
Boom, there it is. I've never fished bonefish before, right? And like I've always heard like, okay, look for tails. You know, it's hard sometimes to see them and all that stuff. And I think like as anglers, we often get like super excited when we see like a rock or like a weed move. We're like, holy shit, it's a fish. You know, so it's like I think like when I was calling fish, I was like trying to be really careful about calling them because I was like, it's probably not anything. And people are gonna be like, oh, this guy's just seeing like sticks, and he's like, holy shit, a fish. You know, first time fishing bonefish. But then I did see tails, and I was like waiting for a second, like you start getting the heart going, you know, you're like, holy shit, it's tail. And it's like so exciting to see an actual fish tail. And then I saw the fish turn, and I saw its dorsal fin and its back and stuff. And I was like, oh, that's 100% a fish. And that's when I was like, oh, no, there's a fish like right there. I was like, I was like freaking out, right? I'm like, okay, we got to try to make this cast, you know. Of course I messed it up. Like I spooked them or something like that, you know, like casted it right at them and they just took off like a jet. But even just seeing the fish tailing is like, oh, bone fishing. I get it now. Like it's so active, and even just the act of seeing fish is almost as rewarding as like catching them, you know, like how you feel about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, I think you put it. Somebody put it this way, you know, when we're fishing here. Let's say you're fishing. Well, what you guys are doing, like fishing the big water, or even fishing a lake. You know, you're casting a lot, and that's how you're searching.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, you might cast 3 times a day, like bone fishing, or 3 times in a session. Let's say, you know, whatever.
Right.
You're constantly fishing, quote unquote, with your eyes. Like you have to be dialed, and you're scanning constantly, and you're trying to understand where the tide's moving, the wind's going, or, you know, like Dan, you were saying, like if you see a push of a V wake or you see a tail, that's how you're fishing. You're not casting constantly like we do, like fishing for pike or something, you know. But it's like it's a whole different way of being engaged, you know.
Yep.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
If that makes any sense.
And very often, you get 1, maybe 2, and maximum 3 casts at a fish, right? So you're really trying to, like, you know, to your point, Aldo, you're trying to optimize and almost mentally prepare for that 1, maybe potentially 2 casts that you're going to get a chance at catching a passing fish, because that moves so quick.
Yeah, they do.
And you can only get so close to them, and I've tried chasing after one. Many fish, you just can't catch them. They
just take off. Yeah, when they're going, they're going.
They take off. Yeah, and you don't know when you're going to see your next fish, right? It's just
I think that's why you chase them, because you're like, oh, God, I don't know when I'm going to see another one. So you're just like, please come back.
Seize the moment.
Yeah. But I think what you learned too, like I think what I learned, Mitch, with that first fish, when you laid that cast down, I don't think it necessarily spooked that fish. I think you spooked the 6 fish we didn't see around it, and then we all started realizing, holy fuck, there were way more fish in front of us than we realized. You know, they're everywhere.
You see the push of water, and
I think Mark was like, they're everywhere. They're everywhere. It was like an aliens movie.
They've got us surrounded. Yeah, Mark was freaking out.
He
He's
was
like,
so fired up. Literally,
because he was seeing all these fish, man.
He was
Yeah,
the
he
first
was
one to
just
get
like-
the shot at them too. Like the school must have just been working from where, because like he was the furthest one out of all of us, and like it must have been just the schools making passes by him, because it was just like he moved his first one, and then it was just like packs after packs of turbulent water, and we're just like, oh my god, they weren't lying. It's true.
Exactly.
Cool, and that was day 1. And then
Day two.
Day 2 was our
Day 2 is
northern
when-
adventure.
Yeah, we actually headed north to fish some of the like ocean flats, I guess is what maybe you'd call them, and you guys went up to a different flat. We were it was kind of like a reconnaissance day, right? Like we were looking for trying to find the best water, and Aldo and you guys dropped us off at like this flat that was beautiful, like crazy beautiful, and it turned. Here's the skinny on it, basically, like from my terrified of sharks point of view. I didn't know I was scared of sharks. I'm scared of sharks, and I found that out then. I was like, I'm not gonna be scared of sharks, and then we were like, we get into the water, we're having fun. It was a little deeper than maybe we like had thought. The sand was a little bit hard to walk on. We're like, well, let's see if we see fish. I make a cast at something Aldo thought he saw, and you did see a fish, and make a cast, catch something. We think it was a bonefish because we kind of saw it. And then it's just like smoked by a cuda, and I'm like, holy shit!
A big barracuda too.
Big barracuda just take it, and then it goes to our left 50 feet, and then like splashes around and eats this fish, and we're like, I'm like, man, saltwater fishing's a blast! Like this is crazy. And then yeah, that's exactly
That's the spot.
Roman's got a picture up where we were walking in
a mangrove surrounded flat, gorgeous flat, but like Mitch said,
Gorgeous,
I think. Had we had a boat or a stand-up paddleboard, it was just the tide was a little bit higher than I think we were all expecting. So we were kind of waist deep at this point.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know this, internet land. Mitch and I aren't the tallest people in the world. Roman is. Roman, you would have been just fine.
Yeah.
But
I was up to my neck. I was up to my neck in water. And I'm like, I don't know about this, bro.
Eyeball waiting.
Yeah, man. It's like floating. But there was tons of life in that little bay. Like, that's why, if you had a boat or you were on top of the water, I mean, dang. Like, we saw a sea turtle looked at us. He kind of winked and then just dipped. We saw, like, a huge pot of bait fish kind of moving around like a cloud. And then, after the barracuda ate my fish, we saw, like, 3 sharks swimming at us. And I'm like, I don't know about this. Get me out of here.
yeah, I mean, even if the sharks were moving in, so we kind of moved out. And honestly, even if they weren't they were kind of being a little squirrelier than the ones I was encountering.
I think that cuda probably like
fired them up.
on, right?
Yeah, for sure. The blood in the water. But the lemons and like, if I'm going to pair again, I can only compare them to Andros because it's the only place I've been. But I was walking. Yilma was walking alongside lemons, and I'm not saying we weren't aware of them. The way Prince made them sound was like,
Yeah.
again,
They're not going to mess with you. Yeah.
not really. But the blood's in the water. You're waist deep. You're like,
Wading's tough. It was just a tough fishing spot. So we're like, well, let's just back out and just kind of like regroup on the shore. And,
totally.
And yeah, I mean, by that time, like, you guys are pretty much done at your spot as well, and we met up like a half hour later, and you guys found a great spot. So like, where did you guys go? What happened that morning?
Roman? Oh, sure,
you can tell us,
honestly, we rolled up to a spot. I believe it was literally just north of where you guys were. So, like, you guys were just like on the inside of a bay just south of us.
Right.
And we got out there. We were going to shoot some drone. Didn't work out well. We were kind of in the airstrip zone, so it didn't.
Right.
That kind of fell apart right away. But the tide was right. Tide was still high. We walked upwind. It was gusty winds for the most part. We walked into it, and then as we were walking up to get to the top of the flat, we spotted 2 bones, and we were like, "Oh, that looks good." So two good sized bones. Roman had a shot at them. We come a little bit short. It was awkward because they were blasting the same way that we were moving, so we just couldn't get to them. But it was a good sign for us. And then we got to the top of the flat, walked our way down.
It's a nice looking flat.
And it was the perfect flat too. Like, there was lots of, like, the tide when it's high, it gives it about a foot or two in those mangroves that you're seeing in the picture there.
Okay.
Like, it was the perfect bonefish flat. And those 2 fish that we did see were literally rolling out of those mangroves.
Okay, so they were in the cover.
Yeah, it was textbook bonefish environment. Walking back down now, we walked a bit. We saw Cuda. Roman had a sweet encounter with Roman. What's that turtle's name from Nemo? What's his name? Squirt. He found Squirt.
Squirt.
Squirt gave him a wink like Mitch's turtle and made his way on. We saw, I think, one or two. We saw a huge lemon shark and then a smaller one on the inside of the flat, like inside of me. And and then once we got kind of closer to the end of our walk, where we walked in, we had a shot at, I think, one good bone. I had a quick shot at it, just wasn't having any of it, straight by it, and then it came up and around and actually gave Roman a shot too. Roman, did you get a chance at him, like a good chance?
He, not really. He was pretty much on the move after you had a shot at him, and I'm surprised because he was interested in your flight, but he just didn't want to commit to it,
right.
and kind of took off a bit of a long way around in the mangroves, and I think it was a bit just too far for me to get a shot, but I got a good look at it. It was a nice bone.
Yeah.
But it was definitely a lot easier to wade on that section of the flats. We were, I suspect, over where you guys were.
There was like a huge defining detail for our like the flats that we had fished, and we'll have the afternoon story will be the pinnacle of this detail. But like you either had decently hard bottom flats where you could walk and not sink in, or you were in like sinking sand, and in some cases we literally had spots where we were sinking up to our thigh, like our sweet and sours were like literally hanging in the salt, like in the sand, So
I don't prescribe to ever walk a flat like that ever again in my life. Nor should anybody.
No, it's unless you're into like your physical punishment.
Just like into
torture.
Struggles.
And
because that was
or you're planning to be an astronaut, and we called it like the moon surface, right?
Oh my god,
whoosh, every step was brutal, and I think I clocked about 100 kilometers walking on my total time.
No way.
No,
that's
time.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Well, hey, you're just walking giant flats. Like, I mean, it is basically just walking, like, is what you're doing, right? Like,
all day.
And honestly, guys, that day, like that afternoon, like I think we probably walked 100 kilometers, like that friggin' afternoon.
That
like,
last flat.
That last.
Oh my god! Like, well, we went and had lunch at that really nice resort.
Shout out to Santa Maria. Santa Maria.
This was awesome. It was a great restaurant.
Santa Maria Beach Resort. The restaurant was beautiful.
I think it's called
Cape Santa Maria.
Cape Santa Maria.
Cape Santa Maria. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was honestly. I thought we entered into a magazine, like a one of those sandals.
It's like what they show.
As we drove in, everything was perfect. The palm trees were perfectly laid out.
Flowers everywhere. Yeah.
Birds chirping. The sand was
the
like
nicest beach.
Nicest
beach
I've
ever seen in my life. Like
beach was just.
Oh my god.
Food was amazing.
Rum punches.
The drinks
deadly.
Oh, those
drinks were
deadly rum
powerful.
punches. Good 6 ounces of rum in there. Oh yeah.
Maybe slamming rum punches and hitting the hardest walking flat ever in the hottest sun ever was probably a bad idea.
I mean, it was fun for lunch, and then we took off and we found that flat that was close to the resort that looked amazing. Like it looked promising.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, there's Roman's got a picture up of like
there. Yeah,
the screened in kind of patio restaurant. Oh man, that was awesome.
I would go back there and just
I'd love to go back
for
there.
A vacay. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. A little vacay with the loved one.
Beautiful.
Well, one session,
very romantic.
It's beautiful.
Here's the beach.
Oh yeah, man. Absolutely. But just don't fish that flat.
Don't fish that flat. Whatever you do. Or if you have a stand-up paddleboard,
don't do it.
If you have a stand-up paddleboard, go for it. But if you don't, don't.
There's more of
the guys thought they saw
there.
Tony Hawk. That was exciting for 20 minutes.
It was
Tony Hawk. It was not Tony Hawk.
I love that.
Although it would be amazing if it was.
It would have been.
You guys come back, you're like, oh, we saw Tony Hawk. We asked him. He's like, oh, I get that a lot. It's like, that is what Tony Hawk would say.
Right? See?
Like, look at that water, man. It's
Yeah,
just
it's wild.
unbelievably
Just
blue.
white sand,
white
turquoise
beach
blue, sky blue, all the blues.
And like the
man.
landscaping too was like impeccable. Like if you look,
Top
remember the
notch.
details inside the restaurant were just like, this place
Yeah.
looks too clean.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was perfect.
I
It
loved
was
it.
so well kept.
Perfect. Yeah.
I could have stayed there.
It was like we left Long Island
Yeah.
and we transported it to this like the tropical.
It's true.
You know, the
Yeah,
magazine.
like some sort of
Paradise
Hemingway-esque scene.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that was
it definitely felt like
Totally.
different from Long Island, you know,
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
obviously so like perfectly curated.
Mm-hmm. And that was pretty much the day. We had some hard fishing, hard walking. Gil said he got some fish. I don't know if I choose to believe him or not.
Mark got
but
one.
Mark did get
got one.
a fish
On that
confirmed.
tough
I
flat.
saw him do it.
Yeah.
Saw some more barracudas, and we went home, had dinner, which was awesome.
Yeah.
And
And then the next day was boat day,
And then the next day was boat day. That's right.
which is super cool. So you can rent boats on the island and use them to get to flats, basically, that are off shore or whatever.
Yeah, it should be noted that if you are not from the Bahamas or a guide, you cannot fish from the boat.
That is
specifically for bonefish, which is an interesting rule. I understand why they do
Yeah.
it, because people are coming over and taking the industry away from locals, so that sucks. But if you
Right, yeah.
want to fish for snapper, if you want to fish for sharks,
Anything
barracuda,
else?
go crazy, rent a boat. But if you're,
I've had it.
but you can't pull a flat if you are not a guide. Even if you're
Yeah.
obviously not charging for it, 'cause
Yep.
we're all buddies, we're not charging. But we would use the, Roman, I got to say thank you for being the captain. Roman was driving
Yes.
the boat and ferrying us from flat to flat, which was cool.
Yeah.
We walked a pretty sizable amount of water that morning,
Again, yeah,
only
tons
to
of
get
walking,
back to
yeah.
the boat for lunch and have a school of bonefish be right by the boat.
A crazy school. Remember that?
Sick.
Gil and so we should say Dave Krasinski was on this trip too, of course, Dave and Gil and Dave got a double header and they were like screaming and hollering, and that's when you guys were kind of walking around, right?
We walked back.
And that's when we found that pod.
Yeah, we're getting back to the boat. All I hear is double header, and I'm like, "What?" We had just walked for 3 hours straight. Me, Mark, Roman, and Dan, only to get back to the boat, and there's 100 bonefish in front of it, with like a school of sharks like hanging out, and man, everybody was hooked up. I think at one point 4 people had bonefish on.
Yes.
And you know what was kind of weird?
Yeah, which is unheard
It was
of.
kind of weird. The sharks didn't seem to care. Like at one point, I actually saw one of the lemons chase one of your fish
Leave.
and turn away from it. I was like, "What?"
What's with that?
I was
like, why was
okay,
what was
you don't want to
happening
eat
here?
which was great. So the sharks weren't eating, so we just kept fishing. We're like, okay, let's just keep catching. It was fish after fish after fish. It was insane.
Yeah, and as Gil said, like he's like, well, this isn't bone fishing because like he's like, I want to spot a fish and sight it and like catch it, and we were kind of just casting into this like horde of very willing fish, and just literally every cast was a fish, which is insane.
It's not like we weren't spotting
You know?
them; like we were just spotting 50 of them at a time, as opposed to just one.
Yeah, totally.
Very casual.
Yeah, we were still spotting them. Yeah,
Oh man.
but it was super cool, and yeah, everybody caught a bunch of bonefish.
And then
Beautiful
after
sunny
lunch,
day.
we kind of Dan, you left.
I did leave. Yes.
To Dan and Mitchie went back to the place, and Roman and I actually spent the evening with Dave. David is the editor-in-chief of Fly Fishing International magazine, correct?
That's Greg. That's Greg,
Managing editor?
editor-in-chief.
That's great.
Possibly. Oh boy. Should I find the details? You want
Let's
me to
look
get
it
the
up.
details on that?
I'm pulling it up on Google right now.
Okay, pull
Oh,
it
we're
up on
pulling it up
Google.
right now,
My
baby.
phone's a disaster. But like, so
Dave's
Greg's-
super cool, dude.
He's honestly, I'd never met him. I'd have a couple of interactions with him over like the past 2 years as he kind of got introduced to the FFI. Seemed like a really nice guy. Just never met. Like, it's so funny, man. Like, I literally just met Greg, the editor in chief for the U.S. side and all the Alaska stuff. I met him in Belize for the first time. Like, same scenario as you guys with us. I literally never met this human being. Neither did Gil. But they was the coolest thing though. Like, same scenario, perfect dude, like super good company. But it was
That's
like
awesome.
we were just like, all right, hey, how's it going? Let's go catch some fish.
Let's go. Yeah, let's go fish.
So, okay, correction. Greg Thomas is the editor-in-chief of Fly
Yes.
Fishing International magazine. Sorry, Greg and Dave. Dave is it Krasinski?
Krasinski.
Yep.
Is the editor. Dave is a Michigan-based writer and photographer, and it was cool meeting him and chatting about his his fly fishing life too. I mean, there's so many people on this trip who are just bouncing ideas off of. I think that's what was cool about this trip too. You know, like Dan, Roman meeting you guys, like talking about everybody's fishing life. And we're all, Roman, Dan, you're both creators, and that's cool, bouncing ideas off each other. And well, anyway, I digress. But yeah, Roman and I had an awesome. Oh my God. So Roman and Dave and I roll up on this flat. Roman's like, well, this looks pretty good. We're on our Google Maps, and I think we're in Dead Man's Key proper right now. And from the boat launch, it's like barely a 15-minute run. And so it's the sun's now kind of dipping, and it's getting to be the evening, and we go get into this flat. Roman, shuts the engine off. We drift into an area to throw the anchor down, and start walking the flat. It's not a big flat, so we thought, we didn't have a lot of time, so this would be kind of perfect. Roman launches the anchor and literally, basically harpoons a bonefish. And by that I mean he spooks a bonefish, and a good bonefish.
Yeah.
He just drops an anchor on this bonefish's head. It's probably just like, what the it shoots off, but then
That's awesome.
Roman keeps an eye on it. It hits the brakes. And Roman's like, somebody get a rod. Anybody who's got a rod? And Dave's like, I've got the camera. Dave's like, I can't see the fish. Roman grabs his rod. It was all happened in I don't know, John Wick reaction time, and Roman pulled off the exact amount of line he needed, I don't know, Sixth Sense kind of thing. Puts a cast on it. The fish turns, and I remember Roman's in the water. I'm on the boat with the camera, and I can see the fish turn to the fly, and I'm like, oh my God, this fish is going to eat. And sure enough, the fish eats. Roman goes tight, and the line just goes this was a good fish. It was an amazing scene. And within 5 minutes,
sick.
we've got a really beautiful bonefish. So good job, Roman.
Jeez.
You'll harpoon
wicked,
bone.
man. Yeah, what an epic bonefish moment,
It was.
Yeah, it's like all my preparations and my life experiences with bonefish kind of led up to that moment where I could just on instinct and just do that in this one seamless motion almost. It seemed to feel like it was like bonefish. Somebody cast. Yeah. It's not going. It's not running away. Okay, where's my rod? Make that cast out, and
wow,
just to make for that to happen. It was really special. I thought that fish
for sure.
was fine. When I saw it, when I almost hit it on the head with the anchor, it did a 180, and for about 6 or 10 feet, it went at full speed, but then it stopped, and I was like, oh, so it's not spooking. And that's when I realized, oh, we have a chance at this fish. And I swear, and it was just I don't know, it just happened so quickly. All those things was just and the Matrix kind of slow mo.
Yeah, it was perfect.
I love it.
Get that rod out, get that line off, make that cast. You have one shot and make it count.
You did, man. You did. You brought it home.
And then Dave got a few fish. Dave got a nice fish as well, and it was just that was the end of boat day. Boat day was.
Yeah, you have the. I think you have
did.
the drone up on that spot. We could get it up, and I think Dave was trying to hold up his bone
to the drone,
or something off to the
he's
dog.
I was like, just
That's
release
awesome.
it, just release it.
That's awesome. I love that.
That was funny. But that was a really nice evening, and then we, went back to the place, and that was just another day on Long Island. And then actually, it went so well that Roman was like, we're just going to get the boat again. And we got the boat the next day. And that day had the very next day was Mark, Dan, Roman, and myself, and there was no wind.
None.
Yeah.
It was hot.
Calm, hot, but good, good fishing. Wasn't that the day Mark got that beefer fish, and Dan too?
Dan got the fish, actually. Dan, walk us through that in...
Let's hear about this bonefish.
Yeah.
The beefer.
Oh boy. Okay, so we gotta do some scripting here. I don't know. We set out with a goal.
We rolled up. The boys let me drive the boat, which was kind of like, I don't know, it was kind of like a subconscious like hope and dream. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But it just looked so cool, like a flats boat. And so we got out to this huge flat. Like it was probably
beautiful.
It had to have been at least a mile or two long. Like it was a healthy like walk. And we get out, we're working down
hard
the flat.
bottom, like a nice walking flat, which
Rare.
you know, like you're saying, Dan, earlier, like not every flat is created equal, is what I learned on this trip.
Yeah.
I just thought I was like coming from Andrews. I'm like, everything is so easy to walk on, but that's not the case at all.
It was intense.
Yeah.
I mean, we got really lucky. The tide was like pretty much perfect. It was like knee-high water from what I remember, and we all just started walking our way down. And I chose a good line. I chose a really good line, and I think I got 3 or 4 good shots at really quality bonefish. And I think it was the fourth or fifth bone. It was like we got a lot of shots that day. And I think let's call it
God, look at that.
It's called the fourth bonefish of the day. After making a few terrible mistakes, stripping the fly too quick, and the whole ordeal of everything that I could possibly do wrong, I finally planned a good cast, strip, pause, let it sit, strip, pause. I think on the second strip, pause, it just fully committed and instantly just gone. Rods flying, reels flying. I'm freaking out. Like, I can't believe I just connected with this fish. Up to this point, I had only seen, bonefish, 1.5 pounds up to maybe 3 pounds. So I was like, this is a total different.
It's a big fish.
Yeah,
it was a tank.
I mean, if you're watching YouTube, you can see the fish up right. I mean, it's a huge bonefish.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing. And
in the
if you hate
6
YouTube,
pound,
we'll post this as well because it's just a crazy fish.
6-7 pound ish. Like we were just seeing beefers that day.
Fish.
Like we weren't seeing a lot of fish. We were seeing fish.
Singles.
But every fish we saw were like 2 big ones, 3 big ones, 1 really big one, and and then Dan put a dope cast on that one, and kind of the same thing with the Roman's anchor fish. You just knew it was going to eat. It was coming to the fly. Like you're like, that fish is eating. And Mark had a really cool. What did he say? He was like, "That's your fish." He's like, you couldn't not catch that fish." He has this theory that like there are these fish that we encounter in life. Roman, that anchor fish is a. You did, you could arguably say you did everything wrong, and you still caught that fish. Like we rolled up on the flat, you threw an anchor on its head, but then it still ate. Like that fish. What did Mark say? The fish chooses you. Like that was your fish.
That's
like,
cool.
Dan, that was your fish. Like that was that fish.
Yeah.
There was no way that fish wasn't eating. It ate. It was, dude. I think it took in your backing like almost 3 times, and it was just it was awesome.
Wow.
That
is
wild. It was
wild.
a very, very, very special moment for many reasons. As any good bonefish, any bonefish in general, holds that kind of special sentiment to any angler. But just like an experience that I'll remember for the rest of my life. And it
was a cathartic moment. We'd spent like, it was like a full team. Like Roman was spotting, I was on the camera, Mark was like also spotting, and and walking, and when Roman spotted it and worked Dan through the cast, and then we get it, the pictures, the video looks great, the fish gets released, it kicks off, and we're just like, we totally freaked.
I feel like this was the moment where everyone like. We were talking about like holding your breath and like walking along flats and doing stuff like that, and like I feel like that moment when the cast was made, everyone was just holding their breath.
Yeah,
we're all just like, is this gonna happen?
Yeah.
Is this gonna happen? How many more shots are we gonna get today? Like, is it happening on this one? And it happened, and everyone's like, oh my god!
And then we had lunch.
I love it.
It's funny, the boat that we rented comes with a, what is it called, a bimini or the sunshade,
Yeah.
And we had eaten lunch. The whole it'd been
release.
20 minutes of us eating lunch, having a beer, like talking about the fish, and then we're like, fuck, it's so hot. If only there was a bit of wind or shade or something. And then we're like, oh yeah, the boat has a sunshade.
Full cover.
So we
Full cover.
We had eaten lunch entirely and totally forgot that we could have been in the shade the whole time. So that was kind of funny.
Just the
And then
amount
we
of-
There you go.
we spent the rest of the afternoon poking around that flat, and then we went back to the what I'll call Roman's Anchor flat, and nothing was really happening there, and then so we went home,
Took off.
and that was
And then that's
Kinda
almost the end,
the
right?
end of the trip.
Then the rest of the days we're exploring. I mean, you guys went to Dean's Blue Hole and you snorkeled it,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, we spent the last day pretty chill.
Yep,
like
yep.
we were pretty exhausted by that point. Like my feet
Yeah.
were dead from sand fleas. Roman, you had walked 100 kilometers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so that we slept in on the last day and just kind of, and plus there was so much cloud cover that we were like, fuck it. And we just kind of, we went
Take
to
it
go
easy.
see Dean's Blue Hole. Dan, we went to the marina. You checked out the wicked charter boats. You got to meet a
Yeah,
charter.
that boat you were on.
You got to
was
meet
crazy,
a charter
dude.
captain and check out the engine room and stuff. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, those boats are like a whole different caliber. Some of those boats are charter boats. Most of those boats were all privately owned, so very wealthy individuals
Okay.
with
Right.
hired captains and mates. And it was like I think
Right.
it was a 2018 Viking Express 52 or 60. It was a 52. 52.
52
Yeah.
It had
feet.
52 feet long. It was a
It's a huge boat, dude.
Wow, that's a
it was
big
a
boat.
fly bridge with the tuna tower.
Oh, that's sick.
And it had 4,000 horsepower of engines underneath the cabin. So two 1950 Caterpillar C32s.
Holy crap,
it was just-
that boat.
And it's like, it's just cool to see it. I mean, like, that's like industry
Oh, yeah,
standard
look
for
at this
most
thing.
boats down there.
The screens. Yeah.
A bit like
There's Dan in the
three
engine room.
14-inch Garmin screens at I don't know, $12,000-$15,000 a go. It's like you got like almost 40 grand in screens there.
Such
That
a legit
Canadian,
boat,
keep
man.
in mind. I don't know what it is US.
Right? Yeah.
It was really cool. I mean, I don't know. I've built this fascination behind like big sport fishing vessels and stuff like that over the years, and it was just like I saw it and I was like, Roman, I'm going.
I'm going
on that boat.
And I know Roman's got a fascination behind that too, so it was kind of like we were both like goo goo gaga, like wow.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I have a fascination
Yeah,
with
that's a
food,
wild
so
boat.
I'm just eating guac and chips on the patio of the marina.
Those were
like,
good too.
Watching you guys nerd out, I love that. No, I mean, and we, you know what else was
love
crazy was the sharks there were humongous, so that was kind of
Huge.
cool. to
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
And
Oh
Jans.
yeah, dude, we were
yeah.
There was
seeing
all
big
kinds of big fish
trevally
in
there.
there. Yeah.
Big trevally.
Oh,
I was
cool.
like, oh,
That's
man,
cool.
If only I had a papa.
Yeah.
That was
then
actually
after-
scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if you fell in there, like you'd be toast.
You'd be done in a I mean, if those sharks were hungry, which who knows, but like it's just like there was like shark, and then like 30 seconds shark, and then another shark, or like it'd be
Big.
3 sharks,
Yeah.
and they're all
Super
just
active.
chilling. Like it was incredible.
Weird. Yeah.
Yeah. And then
dope.
we had lunch, and it was a bit of a late lunch, and the sun was. We tried one flat close to the marina, but then you know what? We all looked at each other and said, "One more night on the
swimming.
pan, boys."
One more night in the pan. Yeah.
So we drove to the salt
Hit the
pan, and more or less like
Ended the way we began.
exactly, more or less like clockwork. Like you said, that sun starts
Yep.
dipping, the tails start popping, and we got into a bunch of fish again, and it was a really magical night. Like that little crescent moon over the flat while the sun was setting, and Roman's got a bonefish and Dan's got a bonefish in his hands, and the lighting was just awesome.
Yeah.
It was a great way to cap off the trip.
Yeah.
We were dancing in the moonlight.
Yeah,
That's what
Dan
we were
put on
doing.
Dancing in the Moonlight. It was awesome
Love it.
on his phone.
Love it.
The tails were dancing.
The tails were dancing.
Roman, what's your favorite, like, what's, if you're going to take something away from this trip, like, what was, like, the kind of highlight for you visiting Long Island?
Well, there was one moment. I think it was on the third day or the second day, right? That you guys
Yeah.
were there, and we had just had that hard day on walking on that boggy flat in the afternoon, right?
Yeah.
And on the way home, we stopped to get some cold cold water and everything, and I walked into this one kind of room shop, right, store where it's just like maybe 2 aisles, and there was a freezer, unmarked freezer in the back, and I went to explore what was inside there, and then I opened up this box in the freezer, and there was like these ice freezers.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I was like, I need an ice freezer right now, and I just grabbed 4 freezies for us.
Yeah, man.
And I remember us sitting in the car like kids, quiet, dead silent, all sucking on our freezies. Because we were just
Steam jumbo freezies,
And it's just small things like that.
Yeah.
Right? That kind of, those little moments.
Yeah.
For me, like not necessarily catching a big fish or taking fish in the moonlight and things like that. It's just, meeting new people, experiencing, going through hard times and going through the good times as well, right? And so it's those little moments that I appreciate in life.
I love that.
That's great.
I love that. That's so good.
It was a funny moment. We were all we were like, this was like a foot-long freezy. And we were just so
Jumbo
hot and
freezies.
thirsty. And we were just like...
Roman's driving. We're all just eating freezies.
Like, you're right. Like, we're like 5 years old again. Just like...
Yeah. Everyone went quiet, too. Like, we're all just like in our zone.
Good call on those freezies, Roman. That was a...
Good memory.
Coach
Dan,
Roman at it again.
how about you, man? How about you, Dan? Like, what if you were to pick like a highlight?
Highlight of... I think the highlight of the trip. What do I narrow it down to? Many. I don't know, and I think it's kind of like we did it a couple nights, but I think the moments we were literally on the ocean. We had this one little rock point that we could snapper fish off of, and I don't know. There was just something about sitting out there. We'd get our little baits out there. We'd get our squid and hook, everything. And then you just sit there and kind of wait. You'd let the drags really loose. So if a fish bit, it would go zzz and all that. And you just sit there with no lights on and just shoot the breeze with the boys and look up and you were literally just no light pollution, covered. I mean, that was a long exposure, so you could see a little bit of light pollution, but like it was like you could see a lot of stars.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. It was bliss, and it was just like I don't remember what we were talking about per se. But like just like that moment, being there with the guys and just hanging out and being under the sky like that was really, really, really cool. I think that's a moment. Doubt. That's a moment for sure.
That's an awesome memory. It was super cool. It was just like surf fishing right there, right in front of the house.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, I think you caught your first snapper, didn't you?
Hey, Mitch, you got a first snapper?
Yeah, man, 100%. And that little reef fish or something. Yeah, that was super cool.
Yeah.
Man.
Oh God,
that was super cool.
That was a grunt.
Yeah, grunt. Yeah,
good.
Yeah.
Snappers were so tasty.
They were so good.
So delicious, man. Crazy good.
Those grunts had a really
fresh
cool
fish.
pattern too. Eh? Remember the one with like the blue and the yellow, and it was just like you guys seen Lakers and how they have those like weird like contours on their head.
Yeah,
it kind of looked like a very bright colored, narrow lake trout with like the most insane yellows and blues.
Again, if
the
you
colors, man,
can see
unreal.
This on YouTube,
look at that.
Roman's sharing a picture of the blue and yellow grunt. It's just, that's the thing about the ocean. It's just so foreign. It's just all these colors that you don't see. It's such a vibrant palette. Actually, kind of looks like my surfboard behind here. But
kind of.
But
inspiration. I love it.
The ocean's an amazing place.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the trip, fellas. That was awesome, and I mean, it was amazing to meet you guys, and hopefully we can hit the water, up here sometime. Yeah. But before we wrap up the show, totally, we do want to do Mitchie's Fishies 5, which is just those 5 kind of general questions I was talking about earlier. So we'll go one by one here, and just like answer them casually. It's not like a buzzer beater or anything like that. But Dan, we'll start with you with this first one.
Okay.
What is your favorite fish and why? If you had to pick a favorite fish.
I hate this question. I genuinely hate this question. This is why it's on Mitchie's Fishies.
Yeah, exactly, man. It's the hard-hitting stuff.
Some people have been doing favorite freshwater fish and favorite saltwater fish, if that helps you come to a
narrow
decision.
I think I don't So I've been a part of a lot of saltwater fishing experiences, but I've not done it personally myself. So I don't feel like I'm fully qualified to have like a saltwater classified like favorite fish.
Fair.
But I mean, personally, I have built a great passion and pursuit around Great Lakes rainbows. Steelhead, if you want to call it that. I don't know what, but like I don't know. For me, Great Lakes steelhead is a big chase for me, and I think that's like something that I've really grown to enjoy. So I would say that's probably my favorite, and it's local too. I mean, like I get to do so much of it, so I'm very, very fortunate in that department. But I don't know, it's the pursuit, the unknowns, the variables that go into it, that like you could be the perfect conditions and like still stroke it, and you're just like, well, okay, let's get back for tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
the challenge of it, right?
Yeah.
Keeps you coming back. Yeah.
So
I dig it, man. Great Lakes steelhead.
Yeah.
Love it. Roman, if you had to pick a favorite fish, what would you pick? And why?
That is tough. I'd have to separate it to on fly, and then there's just on any other fishing gear, I suppose.
Dig it.
On fly, I love catching bonefish. It's one of my favorites.
I kind of
you
thought that might be your answer.
Yeah, you get so there's so many times that you fail, so that one success you get, it's such an achievement and a sense of, because you get rejected, you just don't get a chance to get a cast in, you got wind, you got all these elements that come into factor, right? And you got to see them. For me, it's kind of on fly is that, and then if I have to choose a fish, to catch on any other method. Now this is tough because there's the salt and then there's the freshwater. Freshwater would have to be, like a king salmon, right? So it's just, and it's amazing that we even have them here in our backyard, in southern Ontario and throughout the Great Lakes. So, we're super blessed with that, and it's a healthy fishery, right? And then, I do enjoy on the salt side, the king mackerel.
Okay,
Whenever I'm down in the kind of the Gulf of Mexico side, king mackerel is just as challenging fish to land. So they're super strong fighters. Yeah.
Oh man, cool. And that's the first time we've ever heard king mackerel. 100%. So there you go.
Yeah.
I love it. Beautiful.
And a good to eat.
Tasty fish. That's always a nice bonus.
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. Let me go into number 2 here for Dan first. If you could fish anywhere in the world right now, assuming it's the best time of year to go there, where would you go and why?
And you've been to a lot of places.
Anywhere. Yeah, you've been to a lot of cool destinations.
You've been to Guyana, Belize, all over Ontario.
Yeah. If there weren't so many things that were trying to kill you in Guyana, no, it's not that bad. That's again, it's a tough one.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a tough one.
Roman, do you want to go first?
Yeah.
I feel like Roman's loaded. Roman knows.
It's easy for me.
Roman knows where he's going. Roman, where would you go?
Yeah. And the only continent I haven't fished on is South America.
Oh, okay.
So that's on my to-do list. So I've got to do South America, and I'd love to do Amazon.
Oh man.
For whatever the Amazon is willing to throw.
Oh yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So that's like on the list then. That's like you're gonna make that happen.
Yeah. There is. Yeah.
For people that don't know Roman, he's gonna make that happen. Every day there's like a new story. It's just like we were talking about Mai Tais one day. He's like, yeah, I remember, or no, Singapore slings. And you're like, yeah, I remember when I went to Singapore to have a Singapore sling. I was like, what? Roman's an international man of mystery.
I can dig that. Amazon's a great answer. I feel like maybe Dan is going to say the Amazon.
So Amazon's probably a close second, but I got to experience the East Coast for Atlantic salmon for the first time, and it was a very highly anticipated experience in my visual brain.
I had obviously done the West Coast for steelhead. I've done the Great Lakes for our migratory steelhead. And then to experience and see the East Coast for Atlantic salmon, I was just like, I was flabbergasted. I was overwhelmed, and I was just like, I want more. It's a very unique fishery. There's a lot of history behind there, just like most fisheries. But I don't know. There's just this draw, and I think I got teased in, and I think spay fishing for Atlantics is a huge draw for me, and then to experience a bomber grab with a true a fully matured Atlantic salmon would be like.
That would be wild. That'd be insane.
That is like kind of like it's resonating in my brain right now, like heavily as of late, and it's just like I gotta see it, gotta experience it, you know.
Yeah, for sure. I feel that.
So are we gonna go?
We might be headed. I don't know. I think we gotta go in June. Are you actually going?
I'm going.
Yeah,
I'm going in October. Yeah.
Marguerite? Is that what you're thinking? Like Nova Scotia kind of thing? Cape Breton?
Yeah, whereabouts?
Where are you thinking?
Oh, I've been invited to the Miramichi.
Oh, sweet.
Sorry.
Yes. So.
Oh, look at this international man of mystery.
I told you guys.
He's at it again.
He's either been there or going there already.
And I need all the help I can get, especially with the state.
Oh, it's gonna be awesome, man.
I mean, the Miramichi, like what a storied river, you know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Talk about history. Yeah. I love it. Okay, that's a great. I mean, that's 100%. I can feel those places. That's great.
The Amazon and
the East Coast
and the Miramichi, or wherever in the East Coast. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love it.
Marguerite.
Okay.
I would like to go to the Marguerite.
We got to go to the Marguerite. Yeah.
Have you been to the Marguerite? Is there like a draw that you've seen it before and now you want to go back?
Well, I think the thing that's kind of cool. No, I've just always wanted to go to Cape Breton. And landing in Halifax and seeing some friends that I haven't seen in a while. I've never been to Halifax, but just some friends moved there.
Yep.
And you can do stripers and salmon in the same trip.
That sounds cool.
Which would be really cool because I've never caught a striper before.
Oh my god!
I've been fortunate enough to fish the Gaspé, the Bonaventure, and the Petit Cascapedia, and it's Bonaventure's
Atlantic heaven.
Bonaventure's one of the nicest. Like picture the water we were seeing.
Yeah.
Exact same color, but in a boreal forest. It's like it's a trip.
It's beautiful.
So I've been lucky enough to go there and actually land a couple salmon. Very fortunate, and if you can do it because I don't know if they're going to be around forever. That's a whole other podcast. Mitchie's Fishies number 3.
That's a whole other podcast.
Hole.
But
what's wrong with the Atlantic salmon?
Stay tuned. Okay, number three. Roman, we'll start with you. What is one of your favorite or best fishing memories in general from all of the years you've been spending on the water fishing? One of your favorites.
That is really tough because I enjoy it. I have so many good memories. Yeah. So tough. Very, very tough.
Or Dan, if you...
I think one of the kind of the fondest memories I have is fishing with my cousin who we grew up. But by the way, he introduced me to fly fishing in the when we were younger. And this is back in South Africa, and it's really it's on a piece of river that supports a lot of yellowfish in South Africa. And then yellowfish is like a kind of a carp on steroids.
Okay. Yeah.
And there's two different types. There's smallmouth and there's largemouth. So the smallmouth is the mouth is the downward facing, and the largemouth is more forward facing, right? So it's more vertical eater. And then the smallmouth is a kind of a bottom eater.
Right.
And we often fly fish there, and one of the techniques back in the early 2000s, right, was is to check nymph, and just the being out in nature there, and you may have some wildlife on the bank, and and you're just going with the drift of the river. So you're just in tune, right? Just feeling the drift and making sure that drift is perfect, and hooking up on these pristine yellowfish. It's just that to me, just being in the river, and it's kind of like that to me is one of my fondest kind of fly fishing memories.
That would be your happy place. That sounds beautiful, place. Man. That's a good way to explain yellowfish to carp on like steroids. It is. I've seen pictures of them. That is kind of that is what they're like, right? That's cool. That's dope. Dan, what about you? What's one of your favorite fishing memories?
Yes, I've thought it thoroughly.
You've got it locked.
I would definitely say one of my fondest fishing memories is not so much a memory that I was just a part of it, but a few years ago I had an opportunity to just I was really fired up. The pandemic had just started, and I go up to the Sioux every year. I've done it for I think it was 7 or 8 years in a row. I've done it with a couple of friends, done it solo. It's always been a draw for me in the springtime for a multitude of reasons. Good people, good fishing, just a beautiful environment. And it was 2 years ago, the first year of the pandemic. I was like, I can't not do it. I've got to figure out a way to do it. And at the time, I was just like, I was shooting by the hip, and I was just like, I'm doing it. RV, let's do an RV. We're going with it.
Wicked.
And I was like, I rented the RV, and then I was like, wait, I don't want to do this alone. This is a bad idea. And then I scrambled. I was like, oh my God, who should I take? Who should I take? And I'm like, I started asking a couple of buddies, and it was tough coordination for on the fly fishing department of guys that could fish. So I was like, Dad, do you want to come?
Oh yeah.
And he had just recently retired. It was involuntary. He had some injuries, pre-existing injuries that kind of pushed him out of his line of work. He was in a very physical job, so it was just an unfortunate situation. Yeah. He'd been sitting at home, and I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen people go through retirement and the process of stepping away from full-time job. It's very wearing, and it's weird because they go from this position of go to nothing, and they're like, what do I do?
Right.
And I unbeknownst to me, I didn't know that it was going to be a special trip. I looked at my dad. I was like, I need you to cook. Can you cook for me? Because I can just cook, but I'm a back in those days, I was a Nutella peanut butter sandwich kind of guy. I kept it simple. Yeah. And I was just I want to survive the trip. My buddy Tyler, that's a guide up there. I was like, I don't want to let him down and croak on a Nutella PB sandwich diet. So either way, he said yes, and it was the furthest north he'd ever been on planet Earth. He'd literally never been past the Skokas. And he got to see, all the places that I love going to spend time on in the springtime. He got to see the Superior's North Coast, which is literally a miniature West Coast. The mountains are huge. We saw literally probably 10 moose on the drive from Sault Ste. Marie
That's awesome.
to Nipigon. It was mind-boggling. We had pairs of moose. We saw all sorts, and it was just it was cool because he was like a kid in the candy shop, and it was sentimental. He caught his first brook trout ever, and I was just like, wow. Oh my God, this is my dad. He's doing it. I didn't grow up in a very outdoorsy, fishy family. We did some stuff, but they weren't you know what I mean? Not diehards.
Super outdoor,
to be able to take my passion and share that with the old man and see him, succeed, catch a steelhead. We harvested it. We cooked it up. We cooked up, what are those things? Fiddleheads. We were nice, men of nature, and outside of that, we were not men of nature. We were men of the city. So it was just really cool to connect with, the northern environment, show them something special, and I will truly remember that moment. those moments, because it was 10 days of just seeing my dad and experiencing that with my dad and Tyler. I'll never forget that trip. And it was one of the most reckless trips I've ever done in my life, outside of like just picking up and driving to Ocean City for like 2 months, that I've ever done in my life. It was just like the perfect storm. It couldn't have worked out better, you know?
That's wicked, man. That's such a good memory. That's a wicked memory.
That's a great
I love
story.
that.
Yeah.
And I love how both of your favorite memories are, revolve around family and spending time with family fishing, right? Like it's like, that is really what it's all about.
Yes, sir.
Right? Just moments with peeps.
Yeah, dude.
Okay, cool. So the fourth, Roman, why do you fly fish? What do you get out of fly fishing? What does it do for you? What keeps you coming back?
It puts me in touch with nature. It's really that simple. You feel more connected with nature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Whether you're catching or not, it's just whether you're trying to imitate something that a fish would eat. It's you're trying to connect with the understand the river, the way it flows, the way it eddies, things like that. It's just you.
Or the flat.
It allows you to just immerse yourself, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Sometimes immersing yourself too much in a certain flat, but yeah.
Literally, thigh deep.
Literally.
I remember one point in that flat, the peanut butter flat was like, I had I was up to like my one leg was like ankle deep, but the other leg was like almost up to like my crotch.
Thigh.
There was no longer space between thighs. It was just sand.
I was just like trying to use one leg to lift myself out of the sand. I was like, okay, we gotta go home. Where's my freezy?
Get this man a freezy.
Somebody get me a freezy.
Dan, how about you? Why do you fly fish? What do you get out of fly fishing?
I know we're running tight on time, and I'm going to try to keep this as short and simple.
No, man, take as much time as you want.
I've always been very quiet. I've always been very quiet about the initial onset of why I got into fishing, like heavy duty. Like I'd been introduced to fishing in younger years, actually through my dad. He kind of teased me into the trout scene, and then it was grade 10. It was grade 10. Yeah. It was grade 10. A good friend of many of my schoolmates and hockey teammates, he had taken his life, and it was like I had never really experienced someone losing a loss, whether it was family, friends. It was a very intense moment, and I had no clue how to deal with it. I didn't do drugs. I didn't smoke weed. I didn't drink alcohol. I was very, very quiet individual going through school. Yeah. And fishing was like, boom, I'm there. And like, I remember, after it happened, I spent probably like a month. I didn't go to school, and I fished a lot. And this was when I was just like kind of learning like how to, fish for steelhead in the rivers. And, I spent a hell of a lot of time, and then I found a fly rod. I started doing that a little bit, or I think I had already had a fly rod, doing things with it. But I got really into it, and it was not. I wasn't a numbers guy. I didn't go out and try to I wasn't trying to figure out how to catch all of them. I was just like out there to kind of like try to forget, I guess. And like try to figure out why, and there was like so many different like angles in which my brain was trying to look at the situation. But I just kept going back. I kept going back because it was the only place that I felt comfortable. And I could like kind of just like I could sit down and just have a moment or whatever, right? Like it's just no one was there. I didn't have to worry about it. I'm shy, whatever. I don't know what you call it. And it just kind of took off from there, and it's from that day I still it's a great way to remember him, because aside from it being a very unfortunate situation, I still remember the character that he was. I remember how positive he was. I remember years of him being that one guy on the hockey team and just being like he was the one that like you'd have a shitty day and you could see it, and he would just like come up to you and like pick your chin up and just like get back to it, man. Like it's
Yeah.
brush it off. And it was like, it was across the board. It wasn't just with hockey. It was in school. He was an entrepreneur. He was just this bright star in the sky, like brightest star that guy. And, it was just a very unfortunate circumstance. And, I'm sure, maybe hopefully a couple people that I went to school with will see this and it'll remind them. But, it was I think that was one of the biggest reasons why I got into it and stuck with it. I think that's, that really helped me, stick with the space. And it was always just a pleasure thing. And obviously things have progressed as I graduated high school and started taking video more seriously. Right. Things have started to, morph into job opportunities and, occupations that, keep me busy. But, man, that I would say that's definitely the spark to the flame for sure.
Reprieve of freedom, like you found sort of like a freedom in it. Yeah, that's crazy, man. That's amazing. Yeah. And I think fly fishing is like such a perfect thing for that, to escape and just like, it's just, you get to just kind of check out and just like, like you don't have all the disruption around. And to your point, Roman, you're in nature, all that stuff is so healing, right? Yeah. That's amazing. Wow.
Definitely.
Okay. Number 5. I mean, this is the last one of the Mitchie's Fishies 5. And I don't know who wants to go first, but if you were a fly pattern, what would you be? What fly pattern represents you as a person?
I know this one so
why?
well. I know this one so well, Roman. I'm just going to take the cheese right here. I'm going for it.
Please do.
Everybody watch out. I'm coming in hot.
Dan knows what's up. Okay, what
This is going to throw me under the bus because like this is literally my hottest pattern, and like anyone that follows me and is like, "Oh, let's figure out what Dan's secrets are." You're going to find it out right now. It is.
Whoa.
Oh shit!
It is. Literally, if I could be a fly pattern, and it's funny because I kind of look at it, but like I look like it, but I need a green shirt.
Yeah.
And an orange hat.
Okay.
I am a green woolly bugger with a rabbit strip tail. That's it.
With a rabbit strip tail?
That's the trick, man. It's the trick.
And an orange bead head?
Orange thread. Maybe a bead head too if you really want to spice it up. But you go lead.
That's a spicy
You hit it
fly,
with the lead
man.
underbody to give it that oomph, to like, get her down into the business, and then you just hit her with the orange thread, and call her and a head suck and leech.
Why would this be your fly? How does this represent? What's the deal?
It's probably
it's a fishy
probably
fly
on my fly rod like 70% of the time.
Yeah, it's
but like honestly, it's a very special fly because like it's so stupid because like it's not stupid. You go out to a fly shop and you buy your first fly rod and you ask the guys put together a fly box for me. What's gonna be in there? And I'm like, oh, you're fishing for trout or bass or whatever. He's gonna put like
Olive,
4 woolly boogers, right? He's
Yes.
gonna put a Prince nymph in there. He's gonna put a hare's ear. He's gonna put like a goddamn Dave McFaley special or something. Like he's gonna put those 4 or 5 flies in there, and like the woolly bugger for me is always like specifically. It's like I'll just anywhere I go, unless it's saltwater.
Yeah.
Hey, shit, I've probably been guilty of fishing a saltwater woolly bugger at one point.
Gotta stick a bonefish on a woolly bugger, man. That'd be sick.
But
I love that.
it's just it's a fly that people think it's like an overdone statement, but like I mean, you go anywhere in the world where there's trout or bass or anything warm or cold water species, a woolly bugger might more than likely will work. So
wait, green rabbit tail?
Green rabbit strip tail, it's the same
Green
length
rabbit
as
strip tail,
your
okay.
marabou, but just it's a rabbit strip. I've always found rabbit strip to move just a little bit more zesty. Than
Yeah. It's got that moss.
Little
zesty
extra attitude,
I like
Get
that.
a little heat
I like
on
that.
her.
Zesty.
Yeah, man.
Zesty, I like that. I don't know if I've ever heard a fly being described as zesty.
That's great, man. I like that because we've heard woolly bugger before, but not that woolly bugger, not green, not orange head, not all of that. So that's
the ticket.
I feel that. I dig that. Roman, how about you? Like, if you were a fly pattern, what would you be? What represents you best?
This sucker right here.
Oh, he's. Oh my God,
What
he's
is
got it locked
Clouser.
and loaded.
Oh, he's
Clouser,
got
of course.
locked and loaded.
Yes.
Clouser.
The woolly.
I'd be a Roman clouser.
A Roman
the woolly bugger
clouser.
of the sea.
Yeah.
Explain
much.
this fly and why.
You catch everything on it.
Yeah.
It just can imitate everything.
So specifically that color, like that kind of
Yeah, with the
chartreuse.
chartreuse green.
Yeah.
Yeah, chartreuse. It's
Chartreuse white,
and
dumbbell eyes.
white or red. You just mix up white or red
Yep.
combos you want, and it's
It's
universal.
such a great fly.
I love it.
Yeah,
That is a very
Tied
good
small,
it
it could
is.
be a shrimp.
I mean,
tied big,
actually
it's a
think-
bait fish. It's like,
Yeah.
it can do anything. Yeah.
can do it. It's so universal, and interesting story. That
Yes.
your fly Dan with the the rabbit tail. Of course, I started tying that up to catch bass on the Grand River.
Yeah.
And it's actually the first fish I caught when I came to Canada in 2006 to visit some family here.
Mhm.
I was still living in South Africa, and I bought one of these Canadian Tire. I didn't have my rods or anything with me, and I bought a Canadian Tire fly fishing kit.
Yeah.
You know those flies, box of
Oh,
10 flies that you get with that, or
they're
6
diabolical.
flies, I
They're
can't
terrible.
remember.
Like, I don't even know how they exist.
Yeah.
The bumblebee.
The bumblebee
Yeah.
fly.
But last,
It's in all of them.
did I tell you a story about that?
Yeah. No.
Did I tell you the bumblebee story?
No. I love that.
Okay, all right. So this is 2006, and I was trying to catch bass, or trying to catch anything in the Grand River because my family was out there. They just moved out there, just north of Paris.
Nice.
Okay.
And pretty much I landed up tying one of those rabbit tail things and just killed the bass.
Oh, I bet.
And I've caught bass almost every summer from there onwards on that particular pattern.
Yeah.
On Dan's favorite fly. But anyway, I took that pack of Canadian Tire flies back with me. I think I left the rods here.
Yeah.
But I took the pack of flies back with me to South Africa. And I was out on a weekend fly fishing trip with some friends to this prestigious trout farm.
Okay.
Now in South Africa, the trout there's not a lot of natural run trout in the rivers there. They have a lot of kind of dams for trout where they
Right.
and you can fly fish. And that's very popular. And we were staying on a cottage that overlooked one of the dams, and the whole weekend long we saw this massive golden trout that was in this dam by
wow.
us, swimming past us underneath. We could see it swimming underneath our deck and swim, and we threw everything.
Oh, I love where this
every
story's
fly you can
going.
think of.
I love where this is going.
Literally, I think that an hour before we were about to leave, I looked at my fly box and I was like, "Oh, let me try this bumblebee fly."
The
Out of the
bumblebee.
Canadian Tire.
I knew it was going there.
We're
but
all in denial.
still.
We're all in denial.
I tied it on, casted it out from the balcony. I just sat on the balcony. I let the bumblebee sit on the surface.
Yeah.
And I think it was about 5 minutes later, a fish takes it, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, no waste." Anyway, so I start reeling this fish in, and next thing I see, it's the golden trout that we've all been that's been taunting us the whole week,
Yeah.
not refusing everything.
Yeah.
And he's on this bumblebee pattern, and I can just remember the guys going, "What you
Yeah.
you throw this
From Canadian
what
Tire.
looks like a bee."
I love that, man.
Yeah, so
That
that
is
was
amazing.
hilarious. Yeah.
Oh my god, that's so good to
So,
hear a Canadian
I wouldn't
Tire bumblebee.
discount
man.
that fly. That
Bumblebee
fish.
fly for the bumblebee
Yeah.
fish.
Yeah, well,
I love
guess
that.
you've heard it here
I love
first,
that.
folks.
Boom.
The bumblebee catch.
I think we're going to be hearing more about the bumblebee fly in the coming months, man. It's bubbling up.
bumbling
Just
up.
Hype
I like
it
that.
way up. This is everyone.
We're going to hype it, man. It's the next Squirmy. Like,
It's the next
Yes.
band.
oh, yeah, exactly.
Feel squirmy. The squirmy's coming back.
in bee
I love
form.
it, man. I love it. Well, you guys picked two of the fishiest flies I think you could possibly pick, which makes tons of sense because you're two of the fishiest people we've ever met. You guys nail them. You know what you're doing on the water, and it was a pleasure to fish with y'all.
Pleasure to hang out.
Thanks for coming on the show, guys. I mean, that was a fun trip. We should definitely hit the water again up here. You know, I mean, got all the fishing's all in front of us right now. So
absolutely,
yeah, that's exciting. We're
stoked to get out.
A couple 10 days away from opener.
Hell yeah!
11?
And actually, before we go, if you're listening to this show, it's Friday, and tomorrow is the Trout Opener Social in Toronto. We're putting on at 875 Bloor Street
Dan's
West.
going to be there.
7 p.m.
Woo!
Yeah, man.
Roman,
you're driving down. Roman, you're driving from Hamilton.
Roman, come on down, baby. I know you're in Hamilton, but
is it
Saturday night? Yeah.
Saturday evening. Okay. I've got a family thing, but if I can finish up early.
Oh hell yeah! Bring the fam, man. Everybody, come on down.
All ages.
We're raising money for the Credit River, and we're gonna just have a good old time welcoming the Trout Opener here in Southern Ontario. So come on out tomorrow and have some cocktails with us, and win some prizes, tie some squirmies, and everything else. But yeah, guys, Dan, thank you so much for coming on. Roman, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Absolute pleasure.
Thank you guys.
We're going to put this in the show notes, but, Roman, Dan, this is the shameless plug time. Like, Roman, you charter captain, you've got content. Where can people find you? Dan, you've got great content. Where can people find your stuff? Roman, go. Shameless plug.
Well, cool. Well, you can check me out on probably Instagram is the best, and fishfanatic_fishison.ca. That's probably the best place to reach out to me. Also, the website fishison.ca. Pretty much on social and on Facebook as well. You can look me up, Roman Horak on Facebook, and reach out to me there. I'm always happy to meet new people, answer questions, and share information.
Nice.
If I have it.
Roman, people can shop for things on fishion.ca, like gear, right? Gear, tackle, stuff like that?
Yeah. It's been a little bit of a passion project of mine, and I started that to kind of help some of the local tackle stores.
Cool.
And this was all before the pandemic, yeah. And trying to convince them to go online and get their stuff, so create a bit of a marketplace for them.
Oh yeah.
And it's kind of helped. It's been good, but it's kind of been also in the sense it kind of hasn't really worked out. Where a lot of them have started now. They've with the pandemic, they really realized that they need to be online.
Yeah.
Especially when they weren't able to physically open their doors, right?
Yeah.
So I think it helped them, to do that transition over into their own stores.
Hell yeah.
So I'm looking to kind of, transition Fishes on as well. And it's going to probably become more of a specialty place, as well as the kind of the chartering I'm doing now going forward.
Wicked.
So, yeah.
Great. Check out the show notes because we'll put links to all that stuff. And Dan, where can people find your content? Where can they follow you along? Where can they hire you to come and shoot stuff for them?
I would definitely start off with if you guys want to see more cool fishy content, including the Soulfly Boys and Roman now. You can check me out on YouTube, Dan the Fisher. And then as well, I've got an Instagram page, Fly Inspired. And as well, if you are a TikToker, got a TikTok. Got a TikTok. Got one of them. TikTok's also Fly Inspired. And then my production company website is danfavato.com. So www.danfavato.com. That's an F, not a, what would they mix an F up with? S. It's not an S, it's an F.
An S.
But yeah, that's pretty much where you'll find the bulk of my content. I'm actually doing some work with the Soulfly Boys right now. Mitch and Aldo, these guys have been super, super helpful with giving me some guidance on the next moves that I should be making with my content and just taking it to the next level. So very grateful of that, guys.
Yeah.
And there might be some rebranding and renaming in the near future. But for the
exciting
look out for that, people.
Very exciting times. These guys have been a real treat to be a part of with the Bahamas trip and to meet them and learn about their stories.
Oh, come on now, baby. Thank you.
Feel very grateful.
Boys.
I don't know.
Thanks,
It's been a whirlwind of a year.
No, for sure. Same.
It's So but definitely that those are my feeds, and thank you very much for having us on the show, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Oh yeah, man. Won't be the last time, I'm sure.